Welcome, lovely viewers, to another exciting video. We extend a warm welcome to you as we discuss and analyze Krishna in this video. Krishna, Sanskrit, is a major deity in Hinduism. He is worshipped as the eighth avatar of Vishnu and also as the supreme god in his own right. He is the god of protection, compassion, tenderness, and love, and is widely revered among Hindu divinities. Krishna's birthday is celebrated every year by Hindus on Krishna Janmashtami according to the lunisolar Hindu calendar, which falls in late August or early September of the Gregorian calendar. The anecdotes and narratives of Krishna's life are generally titled as Krishna Līlā. He is a central figure in the Mahabharata, the Bhagavata Purana, the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, and the Bhagavad Gita, and is mentioned in many Hindu philosophical, theological, and mythological texts. They portray him in various perspectives, as a god-child, a prankster, a model lover, a divine hero, and the universal supreme being. His iconography reflects these legends and shows him in different stages of his life, such as an infant eating butter, a young boy playing a flute, a young boy with Radha or surrounded by female devotees, or a friendly charioteer giving counsel to Arjuna. The name and synonyms of Krishna have been traced to first literature and cults. In some sub-traditions, like Krishnaism, Krishna is worshipped as the supreme god and Svayam Bhagavan God himself. These sub-traditions arose in the context of the medieval era Bhakti movement. Krishna-related literature has inspired numerous performance arts such as Bharatanatyam, Kathakali, Kuchipudi, Odissi, and Manipuri dance. He is a pan-Hindu god, but is particularly revered in some locations, such as Vrindavan in Uttar Pradesh, Dwarka and Junagadh in Gujarat, the Jagannatha aspect in Odisha, Mayapur in West Bengal, in the form of Vithaba in Pandharpur, Maharashtra, Srinathji at Nathpura in Rajasthan, UP Krishna in Karnataka, Parthasarathi in Tamil Nadu and in Aranmula, Kerala, and Guruvayurpan in Guruvayur in Kerala. Since the years, the worship of Krishna has also spread to the Western world and to Africa, largely due to the work of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness ISKCON. As we enter this new phase, let's navigate the complexities of names and epithets and discover its practical applications. The name Krishna originates from the Sanskrit word, which is primarily an adjective meaning black, dark, or dark blue. Monia Williams Sanskrit English Dictionary 2008 revision of Sanskrit English Dictionary. The waning moon is called Krishna Paksha, relating to the adjective meaning darkening. As a name of Vishnu, Krishna is listed as the 57th name in the Vishnu Sahasranama. Based on his name, Krishna is often depicted in idols as black or blue-skinned. Krishna is also known by various other names, epithets, and titles that reflect his many associations and attributes. Among the most common names are Mohan Chanter, Govinda chief herdsman, key prankster, and Gopala protector of the go, which means soul or the cows. Some names for Krishna hold regional importance. Jagannatha, found in a Puri Hindu temple, is a popular incarnation in Odisha state and nearby regions of eastern India. Now, we shift our focus to historical and literary sources, a topic that deserves our attention. The tradition of Krishna appears to be an amalgamation of several independent deities of ancient India, the earliest to be attested being Vasudeva. Vasudeva was a hero god of the tribe of the Vrishnis, belonging to the Vrishni heroes, whose worship is attested from the 5th century BCE in the writings of Pliny, and from the 2nd century BCE in epigraphy with the Heliodorus pillar. At one point in time, it is thought that the tribe of the Vrishnis fused with the tribe of the Yadavasaviras, whose own hero god was named Krishna. Vasudeva and Krishna fused to become a single deity, which appears in the Mahabharata, and they started to be identified with Vishnu in the Mahabharata and the Bhagavad Gita. Around the 4th century CE, another tradition, the cult of Gopala Krishna of the Ubras, the protector of cattle, was also absorbed into the Krishna tradition. In this section, we'll be peeling back the layers of depiction in coinage 2nd century BCE to reveal its true essence. Depiction in coinage 2nd century BCE. Around 180 BCE, The Indo-Greek king Agathocles issued some coinage discovered in Iconam, Afghanistan, bearing images of deities that are now interpreted as being related to Vaishnava imagery in India. The deities displayed on the coins appear to be Sakara Balarama with attributes consisting of the god mace and the plough, and Sudeva Krishna with attributes of the Shankha conch and the Sudarshan chakra wheel. According to Boparakji, the headdress of the deity is actually a misrepresentation of a shaft with a half-moon parcel on top chatra. Turning our focus to inscriptions, let's explore its key elements. The Heliodorus pillar, a stone pillar with a Brahmi script inscription, was discovered by colonial-era archaeologists in Besanga Vidisha, in the central Indian state of Madhya Pradesh. Based on the internal evidence of the inscription, it has been dated to between 125 and herbs and is now known after Heliodorus, an Indo-Greek who served as an ambassador of the Greek king Anchialcidas to a regional Indian king, Asapatra Bhagabhadra. The Heliodorus pillar inscription is a private religious dedication of Heliodorus to Sudeva, an early deity and another name for Krishna in the Indian tradition. It states that the column was constructed by the Bhagavata Heliodorus and that it is a Garuda pillar. Both are Vishnu-Krishna-related terms. Additionally, the inscription includes a Krishna-related verse from chapter of the Mahabharata stating that the path to immortality and heaven is to correctly live a life of three virtues: self-temperance, dhamma, generosity, kaga or tyaga, and vigilance, apramada. The Heliodorus pillar site was fully excavated by archaeologists in the Urs. The effort revealed the brick foundations of a much larger ancient elliptical temple complex with a sanctum, mandapas, and 7 additional pillars. The Heliodorus pillar inscriptions and the temple are among the earliest known evidence of Krishna Vasudeva devotion and Vaishnavism in ancient India. The Heliodorus inscription is not isolated evidence. The Hathabodhikasandi inscriptions, all located in the state of Rajasthan and dated by modern methodology to the first, mention Sakara and Sudeva, also mention that the structure was built for their worship in association with the supreme deity Narayana. These 4 inscriptions are notable for being some of the oldest known Sanskrit inscriptions. A more stone slab found at the Mathura Vrindavan archaeological site in Uttar Pradesh, held now in the Mathura Museum, has a Brahmi inscription. It is dated to the first and mentions the 5 Vrishni heroes, otherwise known as Sakara, Sudeva, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and Samba. The inscriptional record for Sudeva starts in the 2nd century BCE with the coinage of Agathocles and the Heliodorus pillar, but the name of Krishna appears rather later in epigraphy. At the Chilas II archaeological site dated to the first half of the 1st CE in northwest Pakistan, near the Afghanistan border, are engraved 2 males, along with many Buddhist images nearby. The larger of the 2 males held a plough and club in his 2 hands. The artwork also has an inscription with it in Kharosthi script, which has been deciphered by scholars as Ramakrishna and interpreted as an ancient depiction of the 2 brothers, Balarama and Krishna. The first known depiction of the life of Krishna himself comes relatively late, with a relief found in Mathura, and dated to the 1st century CE. This fragment seems to show Vasudeva, Krishna's father, carrying baby Krishna in a basket across the Yamuna. The relief shows at one end a 7-hooded naga crossing a river, where a Makar crocodile is thrashing around, and at the other end a person seemingly holding a basket over his head. In this section, we'll be deep diving into Mahabharata, unraveling its complexities and uncovering valuable insights. The earliest text containing detailed descriptions of Krishna as a personality is the epic Mahabharata, which depicts Krishna as an incarnation of Vishnu. Krishna is central to many of the main stories of the epic. The 18 chapters of the 6th book Bhishma Parva of the epic that constitute the Bhagavad Gita contain the advice of Krishna to Arjuna on the battlefield. During the ancient times that the Bhagavad Gita was composed in, Krishna was widely seen as an avatar of Vishnu rather than an individual deity, yet he was immensely powerful and almost everything in the universe other than Vishnu was somehow present in the body of Krishna. Krishna had no beginning or end, full space, and every god but Vishnu was seen as ultimately him. including Brahma, storm gods, sun gods, bright gods, light gods, and gods of ritual. Other forces also existed in his body, such as hordes of varied creatures that included celestial serpents. He is also the essence of humanity. The Harivamsa, a later appendix to the Mahabharata, contains a detailed version of Krishna's childhood and youth. Now, it's time to shift gears and explore other sources. The Chandogya Upanishad verse EX5 mentions Krishna in Krishna Devaki as a student of the sage Gara of the Anjurasa family. Gara is identified with Nemanatha, the 22nd Tirthankara in Jainism, by some scholars. This phrase, which means to Krishna the son of Devaki, has been mentioned by scholars such as Max Muller as a potential source of fables and Vedic lore about Krishna in the Mahabharata and other ancient literature, only potential because this verse could have been interpolated into the text, or the Krishna Devaki could be different from the deity Krishna. These doubts are supported by the fact that the much later age Sandalya Bhakti Sutras, a treatise on Krishna, cites later age compilations such as the Narayana Upanishad but never cites this verse of the Chandogya Upanishad. Other scholars disagree that the Krishna mentioned along with Devaki in the ancient Upanishad is unrelated to the later Hindu god of the Bhagavad Gita fame. For example, Archer states that the coincidence of the two names appearing together in the same Upanishad verse cannot be dismissed easily. Iskasnirata, an etymological dictionary published around the 6th, contains a reference to the Shaimantika jewel in the possession of Akrura, a motif from the well-known Puranic story about Krishna. Shatapatha Brahmana and Acharya Arnuka associate Krishna with his Vrishni origins. In Ashai, offered by the ancient grammarian Pini, probably belonged to the 5th or 6th, Sudhava and Arjuna, as recipients of worship, are referred to together in the same sutra. Megasthenes, a Greek ethnographer and an ambassador of Seleucus I to the court of Chandragupta Maurya towards the end of 4th, made reference to Heracles in his famous work Idika. This text is now lost to history, but was quoted in secondary literature by later Greeks such as Arrian, Diodorus, and Strabo. According to these texts, Megasthenes mentioned that the Sauraseni tribe of India, who worshipped Heracles, had two major cities named Methra and Clysabra, and a navigable river named the Jobars. According to Edwin Bryant, a professor of Indian religions known for his publications on Krishna, there is little doubt that the Sauraseni refers to the Shurasenas, a branch of the Yadu dynasty to which Krishna belonged. The word Heracles, states Bryant, is likely a Greek phonetic equivalent of Hare Krishna, as is Methra of Mathura, Clysabra of Krishnapura, and the Jobars of Jamuna. Later, when Alexander the Great launched his campaign in the northwest Indian subcontinent, his associates recalled that the soldiers of Porus were carrying an image of Heracles. The Buddhist Pali Canon and the Gatotaka No. 454 polemically mention the devotees of Sudhava and Baladeva. These texts have many peculiarities and may be a garbled and confused version of the Krishna legends. The texts of Jainism mention these tales as well, also with many peculiarities and different versions, in their legends about Tirthankars. This inclusion of Krishna-related legends in ancient Buddhist and Jaina literature suggests that Krishna theology was existent and important in the religious landscape observed by non-Hindu traditions of ancient India. The ancient Sanskrit grammarian Patanjali in his Mahabhashya makes several references to Krishna and his associates found in later Indian texts. In his commentary on Pini's verse, he also uses the word Kamsavada, or the killing of Kamsa, an important part of the legends surrounding Krishna. In this segment, we'll be unraveling the complexities of Puranas and exploring its multifaceted nature. Many Puranas tell Krishna's life story or some highlights from it. Two Puranas, the Bhagavata Purana and the Vishnu Purana, contain the most elaborate telling of Krishna's story, but the life stories of Krishna in these and other texts vary and contain significant inconsistencies. The Bhagavata Purana consists of 12 books subdivided into 8 chapters, with a cumulative total of between 16,000 and 18,000 verses depending on the version. The 10th book of the text, which contains about 4,000 verses per cent and is dedicated to legends about Krishna, has been the most popular and widely studied part of this text. Now, we shift our focus to iconography, a topic that deserves our attention. Fire Krishna dances in the Rasa Līlā with the gopis Sok Fire Radha, Krishna and the gopis, Barajilok Kola Museum, Udipa. India. Fire Krishna dancing with the gopis of Fire Krishna and Radha dancing the Rasa Līlā, Jaipur, 19th century. Fire fresco depicting Rasa Līlā, the joyful dance of Krishna with his favorite gopi, Radha, from a Hindu temple in Fateh Jang, Ahok district. Fire Hyam Raymanda Bishnupa WB terracotta works Rasa Līlā. Fire as Līlā of Lord Krishna. Krishna is represented in the Indian traditions in many ways, but with some common features. His iconography typically depicts him with black, dark, or blue skin, like Vishnu. However, ancient and medieval reliefs and stone-based arts depict him in the natural color of the material out of which he is formed, both in India and in Southeast Asia. In some texts, his skin is poetically described as the color of jambal jamun, a purple-colored fruit. Krishna is often depicted wearing a peacock feather wreath or crown, and playing the Bansuri Indian flute. In this form, he is usually shown standing with one leg bent in front of the other in the Tribhanga posture. He is sometimes accompanied by cows or a calf, which symbolize the divine herdsman Govinda. Alternatively, he is shown as a romantic young boy with the gopis milkmaids, often making music or playing pranks. In other icons, he is a part of battlefield scenes of the epic Mahabharata. He is shown as a charioteer, notably when he is addressing the Pandava prince Arjuna, symbolically reflecting the events that led to the Bhagavad Gita scripture of Hinduism. In these popular depictions, Krishna appears in the front as the charioteer, either as a counsel listening to Arjuna or as the driver of the chariot while Arjuna aims his arrows in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Alternate icons of Krishna show him as a baby Bala Krishna, the child Krishna, a toddler crawling on his hands and knees, a dancing child, or an innocent-looking child playfully stealing or consuming butter makancha, holding laddu in his hand laddu gopal, or as a cosmic infant sucking his toe while floating on a banyan leaf during the pralaya, the cosmic dissolution observed by sage Markandeya. Regional variations in the iconography of Krishna are seen in his different forms, such as Jagannatha in Odisha, Vithaba in Maharashtra, Srinathji in Rajasthan, and Guruvayurappan in Kerala. Guidelines for the preparation of Krishna icons in design and architecture are described in medieval-era Sanskrit texts on Hindu temple arts such as Vaikhanasa Agama, Vishnudharmatara, Brihat Samhita, and Agni Purana. Similarly, early medieval-era Tamil texts also contain guidelines for sculpting Krishna and Rukmini. Several statues made according to these guidelines are in the collections of the Government Museum, Chennai. Krishna iconography forms an important element in the figural sculpture on 17th century terracotta temples of Bengal. In many temples, the stories of Krishna are depicted on a long series of narrow panels along the base of the facade. In other temples, the important Krishna Līlā episodes are depicted on large brick panels above the entrance arches or on the walls surrounding the entrance. Get ready for an exciting part as we dive into life and legends. This summary is an account based on literary details from the Mahabharata, the Harivamsa, the Bhagavata Purana, and the Vishnu Purana. The scenes from the narrative are set in ancient India, mostly in the present states of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Rajasthan, Haryana, Delhi, and Gujarat. The legends about Krishna's life are called Krishna Charitas IAST, Kakaritas. Brace yourselves for the next chapter, where we'll be dissecting birth. In the Krishna Charitas, Krishna is born to Devaki and her husband, Vasudeva, of the Yadava clan in Mathura. Devaki's brother is a tyrant named Kamsa. At Devaki's wedding, according to Puranic legends, Kamsa is told by fortune tellers that a child of Devaki would kill him. Sometimes, it is depicted as an Akashvani announcing Kamsa's death. Kamsa arranges to kill all of Devaki's children. When Krishna is born, Vasudeva secretly carries the infant Krishna away across the Yamuna and exchanges him with Yashoda's daughter. When Kamsa tries to kill the newborn, the exchanged baby appears as the Hindu goddess Yogamaya, warning him that his death has arrived in his kingdom, and then disappears, according to the legends in the Puranas. Krishna grows up with Nanda and his wife, Yashoda, near modern-day Mathura. Two of Krishna's siblings also survive, namely Balarama and Subhadra, according to these legends. The day of the birth of Krishna is celebrated as Krishna Janmashtami. In this section, we'll be shedding light on childhood and youth and its impact on our understanding of the subject. The legends of Krishna's childhood and youth describe him as a cowherder, a mischievous boy whose pranks earn him the nickname Makancha Butter Thief, and a protector who steals the hearts of the people in both Gokul and Vrindavana. The texts state, for example, that Krishna lifts the Govardhana hill to protect the inhabitants of Vrindavana from devastating rains and floods. Other legends describe him as an enchanter and playful lover of the gopis milkmaids of Vrindavana, especially Radha. These metaphor-filled love stories are known as the Rasa Līlā and were romanticized in the poetry of Jayadeva, author of the Gita Govinda. They are also central to the development of the Krishna Bhakti traditions worshipping Radha Krishna. Krishna's childhood illustrates the Hindu concept of Līlā, playing for fun and enjoyment and not for sport or gain. His interaction with the gopis at the Rasa dance or Rasa Līlā is an example. Krishna plays his flute and the gopis come immediately, from whatever they were doing, to the banks of the Yamuna river and join him in singing and dancing. Even those who could not physically be there join him through meditation. He is the spiritual essence and the love eternal in existence. The gopis metaphorically represent the Prakti matter and the impermanent body. This Līlā is a constant theme in the legends of Krishna's childhood and youth. Even when he is battling with a serpent to protect others, he is described in Hindu texts as if he were playing a game. This quality of playfulness in Krishna is celebrated during festivals as Rasa Līlā and Janmashtami, where Hindus in some regions such as Maharashtra playfully mimic his legends, such as by making human gymnastic pyramids to break open Hindus' clay pots hung high in the air to steal butter or buttermilk, spilling it all over the group. With the groundwork laid, let's now examine adulthood and its connections to our previous discussions. Thumbaprita Krishna with his consorts Rukmini and Satyabhama and his Mount Garuda, Tamil Nadu, India, late 12th Krishna legends then describe his return to Mathura. He overthrows and kills the tyrant king, his maternal uncle Kamsa, after quelling several assassination attempts by Kamsa. He reinstates Kamsa's father, Ugrasena, as the king of the Yadavas and becomes a leading prince at the court. In one version of the Krishna story, as narrated by Shanta Rao, Krishna after Kamsa's death leads the Yadavas to the newly built city of Dwarka. Thereafter Pandavas rise. Krishna befriends Arjuna and the other Pandava princes of the Kuru kingdom. Krishna plays a key role in the Mahabharata. The Bhagavata Purana describes 8 wives of Krishna that appear in sequence as Rukmini, Satyabhama, Jambavati, Kalindi, Mitravinda, Nagnajiti also called Satya, Bhadra and Lakshmana also called Madra. This has been interpreted as a metaphor where each of the 8 wives signifies a different aspect of him. Vaishnava texts mention all gopis as wives of Krishna, but this is understood as spiritual symbolism of devotional relationship and Krishna's complete loving devotion to each and everyone devoted to him. In Krishna-related Hindu traditions, he is most commonly seen with Radha. All of his wives and his lover Radha are considered in the Hindu tradition to be the avatars of the goddess Lakshmi, the consort of Vishnu. Gopis are considered as Lakshmi's or Radha's manifestations. In this section, we'll be exploring Kurukshetra war and Bhagavad Gita. According to the epic poem Mahabharata, Krishna becomes Arjuna's charioteer for the Kurukshetra war, but on the condition that he personally will not raise any weapon. Upon arrival at the battlefield and seeing that the enemies are his family, his grandfather, and his cousins and loved ones, Arjuna is moved and says his heart will not allow him to fight and kill others. He would rather renounce the kingdom and put down his Gandiva Arjuna's bow. Krishna then advises him about the nature of life, ethics, and morality when one is faced with the war between good and evil. the impermanence of matter, the permanence of the soul and the good, duties and responsibilities, the nature of true peace and bliss, and the different types of yoga to reach this state of bliss and inner liberation. This conversation between Krishna and Arjuna is presented as a discourse called the Bhagavad Gita. Now, let's shift our attention to death and ascension. It is stated in the Indian texts that the legendary Kurukshetra war led to the death of all the 100 sons of Gandhari. After Arjuna's death, Krishna visits Gandhari to offer his condolences when Gandhari and Dhritarashtra visited Kurukshetra, as stated in Sri Parva. Feeling that Krishna deliberately did not put an end to the war, in a fit of rage and sorrow, Gandhari said, "Thou wert indifferent to the Kurus and the Pandavas whilst they slew each other. Therefore, O Govinda, thou shalt be the slayer of thy own kinsman." According to the Mahabharata, a fight breaks out at a festival among the Yadavas, who end up killing each other. Mistaking the sleeping Krishna for a deer, a hunter named Jara shoots an arrow towards Krishna's foot that fatally injures him. Krishna forgives Jara and dies. The pilgrimage Tirtha site of Palka in Gujarat marks the location where Krishna is believed to have died. It is also known as the Hot Saga, states Diana L. Eck, a term that literally means the place where Krishna gave up his body. The Bhagavata Purana in Book 11, Chapter 31 states that after his death, Krishna returned to his transcendent abode directly because of his yogic concentration. Waiting gods such as Brahma and Indra were unable to trace the path Krishna took to leave his human incarnation and return to his abode. With our foundation established, it's time to explore versions and interpretations and its relevance to our overarching theme. There are numerous versions of Krishna's life story, of which 3 are most studied: the Harivamsa, the Bhagavata Purana, and the Vishnu Purana. They share the basic storyline but vary significantly in their specifics, details, and styles. The most original composition, the Harivamsa, is told in a realistic style that describes Krishna's life as a Purana but weaves in poetic and elusive fantasy. It ends on a triumphal note, not with the death of Krishna. Differing in some details, the 5th book of the Vishnu Purana moves away from Harivamsa realism and embeds Krishna in mystical terms and eulogies. The Vishnu Purana manuscripts exist in many versions. The 10th and 11th books of the Bhagavata Purana are widely considered to be a poetic masterpiece, full of imagination and metaphors, with no relation to the realism of pastoral life found in the Harivamsa. Krishna's life is presented as a cosmic play Līlā, where his youth is set as a princely life with his foster father Nanda portrayed as a king. Krishna's life is closer to that of a human being in Harivamsa, but is a symbolic universe in the Bhagavata Purana, where Krishna is within the universe and beyond it, as well as the universe itself, always. The Bhagavata Purana manuscripts also exist in many versions, in numerous Indian languages. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is considered as the incarnation of Krishna in Gaudiya Vaishnavism and by the ISKCO community. Let's now turn our gaze towards proposed datings and explore the fascinating connections it has to offer. The date of Krishna's birth is celebrated every year as Janmashtami. According to Dibek, most scholars of Hinduism and Indian history accept the historicity of Krishna, that he was a real male person, whether human or divine, who lived on Indian soil by at least 1000 BCE and interacted with many other historical persons within the cycles of the epic and Puranic histories. Yet, Beck also notes that there is an enormous number of contradictions and discrepancies surrounding the chronology of Krishna's life as depicted in the Sanskrit canon. According to texts in the Jain tradition, Krishna was a cousin of Nemanitha. Nemanitha is believed in the Jain tradition to have been born 84,000 years before the 9th Pushpanatha, the 23rd Tirthankara. In the upcoming section, we'll be dissecting philosophy and theology and exploring its intricate connections to our topic. A wide range of theological and philosophical ideas are presented through Krishna in Hindu texts. The teachings of the Bhagavad Gita can be considered, according to Friedhelm Hardy, as the first Krishnate system of theology. Brahmanja, a Hindu theologian and philosopher whose works were influential in Bhakti movement, presented him in terms of qualified monism, or non-dualism, namely Visheshabdvaita school. Madhvacharya, a philosopher whose works led to the founding of Haridasa tradition of Vaishnavism, presented Krishna in the framework of dualism Dvaita. Vedabita group of schools, which teaches that the individual self is both different and not different from the ultimate real. It predates the positions of monism and dualism. Among medieval Vedabita thinkers are Nimbarkacharya, who founded the Kumara Sampradaya Dvaita philosophical school, and Jiva Goswami, a saint from Gaudiya Vaishnava school, who described Krishna theology in terms of Bhakti Yoga and Achintya Abda. Krishna theology is presented in a pure monism Shadadvaita framework by Vallabhacharya, the founder of Pashi sect of Vaishnavism. Madhusudana Sarasvati, an India philosopher, presented Krishna theology in non-dualism monism framework Advaita Vedanta, while Adi Shankara, credited with unifying and establishing the main currents of thought in Hinduism, mentioned Krishna in his early 8th century discussions on Panchayatana Puja. The Bhagavata Purana synthesizes an Advaita, Sankhya, and Yoga framework for Krishna, but it does so through loving devotion to Krishna. Bryant describes the synthesis of ideas in Bhagavata Purana as, while Sheridan and Pinchman both affirm Bryant's view, the latter adds that the Vedantic view emphasized in the Bhagavata is non-dualist with a difference. In conventional non-dual Vedanta, all reality is interconnected and one. The Bhagavata posits that the reality is interconnected and plural. Across the various zoologies and philosophies, the common theme presents Krishna as the essence and symbol of divine love, with human life and love as a reflection of the divine. The longing and love-filled legends of Krishna and the gopis, his playful pranks as a baby, as well as his later dialogues with other figures, are philosophically treated as metaphors for the human longing for the divine and for meaning, and the play between the universals and the human soul. Krishna's Līlā is a theology of love play. According to John Collar, love is presented not simply as a means to salvation, it is the highest life. Human love is God's love. Other texts that include Krishna, such as the Bhagavad Gita, have attracted numerous Bhaష్ya commentaries in the Hindu traditions. Though only a part of the Hindu epic Mahabharata, it has functioned as an independent spiritual guide. It allegorically raises the ethical and moral dilemmas of human life through Krishna and Arjuna. It then presents a spectrum of answers, addressing the ideological questions on human freedoms, choices, and responsibilities towards self and others. This Krishna dialogue has attracted numerous interpretations, from being a metaphor for inner human struggle that teaches non-violence to being a metaphor for outer human struggle that advocates a rejection of criticism and persecution. Madhusudana Sarasvati, known for his contributions to classical Advaita Vedanta, was also a devout follower of Krishna and expressed his devotion in various verses within his works and notably in his Bhagavad Gita commentary, Bhagavad Gita Gudafadipika. In his works, Krishna is often interpreted as representing Nirguna Brahman, leading to a trans-theistic understanding of deity, where Krishna symbolizes the non-dual self, embodying being, consciousness, and bliss, and the pure existence underlying all. Now, let's dig deeper into Vaishnavism and unveil the hidden treasures it holds within. The worship of Krishna is part of Vaishnavism, a major tradition within Hinduism. Krishna is considered a full avatar of Vishnu, or one with Vishnu himself. However, the exact relationship between Krishna and Vishnu is complex and diverse, with Krishna of Krishnate Sampradayas considered an independent deity and supreme. Vaishnavas accept many incarnations of Vishnu, but Krishna is particularly important. Their theologies are generally centered either on Vishnu or an avatar such as Krishna as supreme. The terms Krishnaism and Vishnuism have sometimes been used to distinguish the two, the former implying that Krishna is the transcendent supreme being. Some scholars, as Friedhelm Hardy, do not define Krishnaism as a sub-order or offshoot of Vaishnavism, considering it a parallel and no less ancient current of Hinduism. All Vaishnava traditions recognize Krishna as the eighth avatar of Vishnu, Others identify Krishna with Vishnu, while Krishnate traditions such as Gaudiya Vaishnavism, Ikasana Dharma, Mahanam Sampradaya, Nimbaka Sampradaya and the Vallabha Sampradaya regard Krishna as the Swayam Bhagavan, the original form of Lord, or the same as the concept of Brahman in Hinduism. Shitagovinda of Jayadeva considers Krishna to be the Supreme Lord, while the 10 incarnations are his forms. Swaminarayan, the founder of the Swaminarayan Sampradaya, also worshipped Krishna as God himself. Greater Krishnaism corresponds to the second and dominant phase of Vaishnavism, revolving around the cults of the Vasudeva, Krishna, and Gopala of the late Vedic period. Today the faith has a significant following outside of India as well. Early traditions. The deity Krishna Vasudeva Krishna, the son of Vasudeva Anekadevi, is historically one of the earliest forms of worship in Krishnaism and Vaishnavism. It is believed to be a significant tradition of the early history of Krishna religion in antiquity. Thereafter, there was an amalgamation of various similar traditions. These include ancient Bhagavatism, the cult of Gopala, of Krishna Govinda cow finding Krishna, of Balakrishna baby Krishna, and of Krishna Gopavallabha Krishna the lover. According to Andrei Couture, the Haridams are contributed to the synthesis of various figures as aspects of Krishna. Already in the early Middle Ages, the Jagannathism, Gaudiya Vaishnavism, was origined as the cult of the god Jagannath, an abstract form of Krishna. Jagannathism was a regional temple-centered version of Krishnaism, where Jagannath is understood as a principal god, Purushottama and Para-Brahman, but can also be regarded as a non-sectarian syncretic Vaishnavite and all-Hindu cult. According to the Vishnu Dharma Purana 4th century, Krishna is worshipped in the form of Purushottama in Odisha, Odisha. The notable Jagannath temple in Puri, Odisha, became particularly significant within the tradition since about 800 CE. As we venture forward, let's take a closer look at Bhakti tradition and its impact on our understanding. The use of the term Bhakti, meaning devotion, is not confined to any one deity. However, Krishna is an important and popular focus of the devotionalism tradition within Hinduism, particularly among the Vaishnava Krishnate sects. Devotees of Krishna subscribe to the concept of Līlā, meaning divine play, as the central principle of the universe. It is a form of Bhakti Yoga, one of 3 types of yoga discussed by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. In the following section, we'll be immersing ourselves in the captivating world of Indian subcontinent. The Bhakti movements devoted to Krishna became prominent in southern India in the 7th to 9th CE. The earliest works included those of the Alva saints of Tamil Nadu. A major collection of their works is the Divya Prabandham. Alva Andal's popular collection of songs Tirupavai, in which she conceives of herself as a gopi, is the most famous of the oldest works in this genre. The movement originated in South India during the 7th century CE, spreading northwards from Tamil Nadu through Karnataka and Maharashtra by the 15th. It was established in Bengal and northern India. Early Krishnate Bhakti pioneers included Nimbakacharya 12th or 13th CE, but most emerged later, including Vallabhacharya 15th CE and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They started their own schools, namely Nimbaka Sampradaya, Vallabha Sampradaya, and Gaudiya Vaishnavism, with Krishna and Radha as the supreme gods. In addition, since the 15th century, flourished tantric variety of Krishnaism, Vaishnava Sahajiya, is linked to the Bengali poet Chandidas. In the Deccan, particularly in Maharashtra, saint poets of the Warkari sects such as Dnyaneshwar, Nandiv, Janabay, Eknath, and Chakaram promoted the worship of Vithaba, a local form of Krishna, from the 13th to 18th century. Before the Warkari tradition, Krishna devotion became well established in Maharashtra due to the rise of the Mahanabhava Sampradaya founded by Sarvajna Chakravarti. The Pranami Sampradaya emerged in the 17th century in Gujarat, based on the Krishna-focused syncretist Hindu Islamic teachings of Devchandra Maharaj and his famous successor, Mahamati Pranath. In southern India, Purandara Dasa and Kanakadasa of Karnataka composed songs devoted to the Krishna image of Udupi. Rupa Goswami of Gaudiya Vaishnavism has compiled a comprehensive summary of Bhakti called Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. In South India, The Acharyas of the Sri Sampradaya have written reverently about Krishna in most of their works, including the Tirupavai by Anil and Gopalavanshati by Vedanta. Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, and Kerala states have many major Krishna temples, and Janmashtami is one of the widely celebrated festivals in South India. As we transition, let's shed light on outside Asia and its relevance to our ongoing exploration. By 1965, the Krishna Bhakti movement had spread outside India after Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, as instructed by his guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura, travelled from his homeland in West Bengal to New York City. A year later, in 1966, after gaining many followers, he was able to form the International Society for Krishna Consciousness ISKCON, popularly known as the Hare Krishna movement. The purpose of this movement was to write about Krishna in English and to share the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy with people in the Western world by spreading the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In the biographies of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the mantra he received when he was given Diksha or initiation in India was the 6-word verse of the Kali Sandrana Upanishad, namely Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare. In the Gaudiya tradition, it is the Mahamantra, or Great Mantra, about Krishna Bhakti. Its chanting was known as Hari Nama Sankirtana. The Mahamantra gained the attention of George Harrison and John Lennon of the Beatles fame, and Harrison produced a 1969 recording of the mantra by devotees from the London Radha Krishna Temple. Titled Hare Krishna Mantra, the song reached the top 20 on the UK music charts and was also successful in West Germany and Czechoslovakia. The mantra of the Upanishad thus helped bring Bhaktivedanta and ISKCON ideas about Krishna into the West. ISKCON has built many Krishna temples in the West, as well as other locations such as South Africa. Now, let's shift our perspective and explore Southeast Asia from a different angle. Krishna is found in Southeast Asian history and art, but to a far lesser extent than Shiva, Durga, Nandi, Agastya, and Buddha. In temples Candi of the archaeological sites in hilly volcanic Java, Indonesia, temple reliefs do not portray his pastoral life or his role as the erotic lover, nor do the historic Javanese Hindu texts. Rather, either his childhood or the life as a king and Arjuna's companion have been more favored. The most elaborate temple arts of Krishna is found in a series of Krishnayana reliefs in the Prambanan Hindu temple complex near Yogyakarta. These are dated to the 9th CE. Krishna remained a part of the Javanese cultural and theological fabric through the 14th, as evidenced by the 14th Pentateuch reliefs along with those of the Hindu god Rama in East Java, before Islam replaced Buddhism and Hinduism on the island. The medieval era arts of Vietnam and Cambodia feature Krishna. The earliest surviving sculptures and reliefs are from the 6th and 7th, and these include Vaishnavism iconography. According to John Guy, the curator and director of Southeast Asian arts at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Krishna Govardhana art from 6th Vietnam at Da Nang and 7th Cambodia at Phnom Do Cave in Angkor Bori are some of the most sophisticated of this era. Krishna's iconography has also been found in Thailand, along with those of Surya and Vishnu. For example, a large number of sculptures and icons have been found in the Siddhap and Klang Ne sites in the Phetchabun region of northern Thailand. These are dated to about the 7th and 8th, from both the Funan and Zenla period archaeological sites. Without wasting any more time, let's jump into the fascinating world of performance arts. Indian dance and music theatre traces its origins and techniques to the ancient Samaveda and Natya Sastra texts. The stories enacted and the numerous choreographic themes are inspired by the legends in Hindu texts, including Krishna-related literature such as Harivamsa and Bhagavata Purana. The Krishna stories have played a key role in the history of Indian theatre, music, and dance, particularly through the tradition of Rasa Līlā. These are dramatic enactments of Krishna's childhood, adolescence, and adulthood. One common scene involves Krishna playing flute in Rasa Līlā, only to be heard by certain gopis cowherd maidens, which is theologically supposed to represent divine call only heard by certain enlightened beings. Some of the text's legends have inspired secondary theatre literature such as the eroticism in Jita Govinda. Krishna-related literature such as the Bhagavata Purana accords a metaphysical significance to the performances and treats them as a religious ritual, infusing daily life with spiritual meaning, thus representing a good, honest, happy life. Similarly, Krishna-inspired performances aim to cleanse the hearts of faithful actors and listeners. Singing, dancing, and performing any part of Krishna Līlā is an act of remembering the Dharma in the text, as a form of parabhakti supreme devotion. To remember Krishna at any time and in any art, asserts the text, is to worship the good and the divine. Classical dance styles such as Kathak, Odissi, Manipuri, Kuchipudi and Bharatanatyam in particular are known for their Krishna-related performances. Krishnatam traces its origins to Krishna legends, and is linked to another major classical Indian dance form called Kathakali. Bryant summarizes the influence of Krishna stories in the Bhagavata Purana as has inspired more derivative literature, poetry, drama, dance, theatre and art than any other text in the history of Sanskrit literature, with the possible exception of the Ramayana. The Paliyodam, a type of large boat built and used by Aramula Parthasarathi temple in Kerala for their annual water processions of Athrathi Jalmala and Valasatya, has the legend that it was designed by Krishna and were made to look like Sheshanada, the serpent on which Vishnu rests. In this section, we'll be deep diving into major temples, unraveling its complexities and uncovering valuable insights. Ambalapur Sri Krishna Swami Temple, Bank Bihari Temple, Vrindavan Dwarkish Temple, Dwarka Govind Devji Temple, Jaipur Guruvaya Temple, Kerala ISKCON Temples, Hare Krishna Golden Temple, ISKCON Temple, Bangalore, ISKCON Temple, Chennai, ISKCON Temple, Delhi, ISKCON Temple, Pune, ISKCON Temple, Vrindavan, New Vrindavan, West Virginia, Vrindavan Chandrodaya Temple, Jagannath Temple, Puri Kantaj Temple, Bangladesh Krishna Janmashtami Temple Complex, Mathura Maiden Mohan Temple, Koroi Parthasarathi Temple, Chennai Prem Manda, Vrindavan Pashamadhavi Temples, Dwarkish Kankroli, Dwarkish Temple, Mathura, Srinathji Temple, Nafdura, Vray Hindu Temple, Pennsylvania Radha Damodar Temple, Junagadh Radha Damodar Temple, Vrindavan Radha Krishna Vaivasthali, Pandivan Radha Maiden Mohan Temple, Vrindavan Radha Madhab Temple, Vishnupa Radha Raman Temple, Vrindavan Radha Vallabh Temple, Vrindavan Rajagopalaswamy Temple, Managudi Ranchadre Temple, Deka Sri Govindaji Temple, Imphal Sri Kund Bihari Temple, Malaysia Swaminarayan Temples, Sri Swaminarayan Manda, Tolra, Swaminarayan Manda, Gahada Trichamaram Temple, Thaliparamba Udupi Sri Krishna Matha Vithaba Temple, Pandapa. In this chapter, we'll be unraveling the enigma of Jainism and discovering its transformative power. The Jainism tradition lists 63 Apura or notable figures which, amongst others, includes the 24 Tirthankars spiritual teachers and 9 sets of triads. One of these triads is Krishna as the Vasudeva, Balarama as the Baladeva, and Yarasandha as the Prati Vasudeva. In each age of the Jain cyclic time is born a Vasudeva with an elder brother termed the Baladeva. Between the triads, Baladeva holds the principle of non-violence, a central idea of Jainism. The villain is the Prati Vasudeva, who attempts to destroy the world. To save the world, Vasudeva Krishna has to forsake the non-violence principle and kill the Prati Vasudeva. The stories of these triads can be found in the Harivamsa Purana 8th CE of Jainism and not be confused with its namesake, the addendum to Mahabharata and the Trishashi Sholaka Purushakarita of Hemachandra. The story of Krishna's life in the Puranas of Jainism follows the same general outline as those in the Hindu texts, but in details, they are very different. They include Jain Tirthankars as figures in the story, and generally are polemically critical of Krishna, unlike the versions found in the Mahabharata, the Bhagavata Purana, and the Vishnu Purana. For example, Krishna loses battles in the Jain versions, and his gopis and his clan of Yadavas die in a fire created by an ascetic named Dvaipayana. Similarly, after dying from the hunter Yara's arrow, the Jaina texts state Krishna goes to the third hell in Jain cosmology, while his brother is said to go to the sixth heaven. Vimalasari is attributed to be the author of the Jain version of the Bhagavata Purana, but no manuscripts have been found that confirm this. It is likely that later Jain scholars, probably Janasana of the 8th, wrote a complete version of Krishna legends in the Jain tradition and credited it to the ancient Vimalasari. Partial and older versions of the Krishna story are available in Jain literature, such as in the Anecdotes of the Svetambar Agama tradition. In other Jain texts, Krishna is stated to be a cousin of the 22nd Tirthankara, Nemanitha. The Jain texts state that Nemanitha taught Krishna all the wisdom that he later gave to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. According to Geoffrey D. Long, a professor of religion known for his publications on Jainism, this connection between Krishna and Nemanitha has been a historic reason for Jains to accept, read, and cite the Bhagavad Gita as a spiritually important text, celebrate Krishna-related festivals, and intermingle with Hindus as spiritual cousins. In the upcoming section, we'll be shining a light on Buddhism. The story of Krishna occurs in the Jataka tales in Buddhism. The Vihara Pandita Jataka mentions Madhura Sanskrit, Mathura. The Gita Jataka mentions Kamsa, Divagabask, Devaki, Apasagara or Vasudeva, Govardhanask, Govardhana, Baludeva Balarama, and Kana or Kisavask, Krishna, Heshava. Like the Jain versions of the Krishna legends, the Buddhist versions such as one in Gita Jataka follow the general outline of the story, but are different from the Hindu versions as well. For example, the Buddhist legend describes Divagaba Devaki to have been isolated in a palace built upon a pole after she is born, so no future husband could reach her. Krishna's father similarly is described as a powerful king, but who meets up with Divagaba anyway, and to whom Kamsa gives away his sister Divagaba in marriage. The siblings of Krishna are not killed by Kamsa, though he tries. In the Buddhist version of the legend, all of Krishna's siblings grow to maturity. Krishna and his siblings' capital becomes Dvaravati. The Arjuna and Krishna interaction is missing in the Jataka version. A new legend is included, wherein Krishna laments in uncontrollable sorrow when his son dies, and Agata Pandita finds madness to teach Krishna a lesson. The Jataka tale also includes internecine destruction among his siblings after they all get drunk. Krishna also dies in the Buddhist legend by the hand of a hunter named Jara, but while he is traveling to a frontier city. Mistaking Krishna for a pig, Jara throws a spear that fatally pierces his feet, causing Krishna great pain and then his death. At the end of this dated Jataka discourse, the Buddhist text declares that Sariputta, one of the revered disciples of the Buddha in the Buddhist tradition, was incarnated as Krishna in his previous life to learn lessons on grief from the Buddha in his prior rebirth. While the Buddhist Jataka texts co-opt Krishna Vasudeva and make him a student of the Buddha in his previous life, the Hindu texts co-opt the Buddha and make him an avatar of Vishnu. In Chinese Buddhism, Taoism and Chinese folk religion, the figure of Krishna has been amalgamated and merged with that of Nalakuvara to influence the formation of the god Neza, who has taken on iconographic characteristics of Krishna such as being presented as a divine godchild and slaying Indra in his youth. In this part of the video, we'll be diving deep into Radha and unraveling its profound impact. Krishna's life is written about in Krishna Avatar of the Chobis Avatar, a composition in Dasam Granths traditionally and historically attributed to Sikh Guru Gobind Singh. Within the Sikh-derived 19th Radha Somi movement, the followers of its founder Shiv Dayal Singh used to consider him the living master and incarnation of God Krishna Vishnu. Others believe that Krishna was a manifestation of God, or one in a line of prophets who have revealed the word of God progressively for a gradually maturing humanity. In this way, Krishna shares an exalted station with Abraham, Moses, Zoroaster, Buddha, Muhammad, Jesus, and the founder of the Baha'i faith, Baal. Ahmadiyya, a 20th Islamic movement, consider Krishna as one of their ancient prophets. Guru Ahmad stated that he was himself a prophet in the likeness of prophets such as Krishna, Jesus, and Muhammad, who had come to earth as a latter-day reverer of religion and morality. Krishna worship or reverence has been adopted by several new religious movements since the 19th, and he is sometimes a member of an eclectic pantheon in occult texts, along with Greek, Buddhist, biblical, and even historical figures. For instance, Idawajsha, an influential figure in perennial philosophy and occult movements, considered Krishna a great initiate, while Theosophists regard Krishna as an incarnation of Maitreya, one of the masters of the ancient wisdom, the most important spiritual teacher for humanity along with Buddha. Krishna was canonized by Aleister Crowley and is recognized as a saint of Ecclesia Gnostica Catholica in the Gnostic Mass of Ordo Templi Orientis. Now, let's shift our perspective and explore general and cited sources from a different angle. The Mahabharata of Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa, translated by Kesari Mohan Ganguly, published between 1883, and Earth Vishnu Purana, translated by H. H. Wilson, Earth Srimad Bhagavatam, translated by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, 1988. Copyright Bhaktivedanta Book Trust Gotaka, or Stories of the Buddha's Former Births, edited by East B. Cowell, a Garuda Pillar of Besanga, Archaeological Survey of India, Annual Report. Calcutta, Superintendent of Government Printing, 1912. Originally published in A History of Indian Theatre by M. L. Vropand. Chapter Theatre of Krishna. Published 1991, Abhinav Publications. I appreciate your time and I'm grateful for every like, comment, and share.